Salam and good afternoon from Sad Barg in Dushanbe. My name is Caitlin and today I'm going to be taking you on a tour of Dushanbe. We are at Sad Barg because it is the heart of street food in Dushanbe, if you can see behind me. We're gonna grab some street food and then go on our way to see what else there is. Salam, یک تا کوکروزا میتونم بگیرم؟ کوکروزا؟ ده سامان با میونیز. Now that we've had some street food, we are going to take a 3 shared taxi to Rudaki. Right where it starts, you can either walk or take a shared taxi, but I'm going to show you guys how to take a shared taxi. It costs 7 Somani, a little less than 76. So let's go. Man alon door taxi hastam. Right now I am in a shared taxi for route number 3 and we are going to go down Rudaki to see the sights of Dushanbe. Let's go. Oh. That you want to get out, you say mituni man koni inja aga. Tashakkur ziyad. Okay, now let's see some sights on Rudaki. So the street that we are on right now is called Rudaki Avenue. This is the biggest street in Dushanbe and it goes from the south all the way to the north. Right now, I'm going to take you on the walking path in between the center lane, but be careful because there's never been a time that I've walked this path and not gotten pooped on by birds. So fingers crossed, because it's winter, that there will be no bird poop today. At night, all of the arches around me are lit up. It's really beautiful to come here at night and walk the street. There is ice cream in the summer to eat. Rudaki is actually the busiest street in all of Dushanbe. It's where everyone goes for restaurants. You have the more Western upscale restaurants, and a lot of the big sights to see in Dushanbe are on this main avenue. The first stop you have off of Rudaki is the Opera-Ballet. There are shows here usually once every week on Saturdays or Sundays. For Christmas, they have the Nutcracker Ballet happening. It's a great and beautiful place to come if you're able, even just to see it. There are lots of Christmas lights in front of it. In the summer, they have concerts and other lights out here. So there's something to see here all the time, whether you come in the summer or the winter. Definitely catch a show if you can. The ticket prices range from usually $1 to $5. In the summer, there are beautiful fountains set up, but now that it is winter, there is no water, only New Year's lights everywhere. So highly recommend that you come and see the Opera-Ballet. We are heading back to the main part of Rudaki now. This is just off of Rudaki on the right side. Let's see what else there is. As you're leaving the Opera-Ballet, you start to get into the part of Dushanbe that has all of the Western restaurants. Here we have a KFC, coffee shops, anything that you can think of. This is the place where you will want to come if you're wanting to eat Western foods. If you're wanting to eat Tajik foods, you'll have to venture out a little bit. An interesting fact about Rudaki is actually that they paint the buildings every single year in the summer. So if you see this beautiful blue, all of the buildings are painted one color scheme. So there are all kinds of variants of blue. You can see dark blue behind me, and it changes every summer. Tajikistan used to be a part of the Soviet Union, and something the Soviet Union was known for was making mosaics in all of their countries that reflected the culture and the people, as well as a joint communist state. On Rudaki Avenue, there are 2 mosaics, although there are probably 20 scattered throughout Dushanbe. So let's see the first 2. This first mosaic reflects traditional Tajik people playing instruments and dancing. And if you look over to the left, this is actually one of the oldest Soviet buildings in Dushanbe. It has a really unique architectural setup. If you look, very Soviet, very interesting. Okay, we're leaving the first mosaic. If you cross the street right beside of the first mosaic, you will see a Georgian Italian restaurant. Across from that restaurant is the second mosaic. Behind me, just a few steps away from the first mosaic, you will find the second Soviet mosaic and the only other one on Rudaki Avenue. From this mosaic, we are going to keep walking on the left side of Rudaki and go to all of the parks that Rudaki is famous for. Some really big, beautiful government buildings and parks. We are coming to right around the curve in Rudaki. There's some really cool old Soviet buildings behind me. But what is most important about this spot is that it is the start of Rudaki Park. This is the most famous park in Dushanbe because it hosts all of the important government buildings and some really beautiful monuments. Behind me, you can see the statue and monument to Ismail Somani, who was a king over 1,000 years ago in this region. His head is topped with a crown of Tajik gold, and this is previously where the statue of Lenin stood in the Soviet times. There are photographers here who will try to charge you for a picture, but they're very kind. نه خوبم اینجا میتونم بگیرم تشکر
من میگیرم شما رو مقبول بشه
خوبم تشکر زیاد روز خوب داشته باشی. Immediately behind the statue of Rudaki, you have the National Library of Tajikistan, Kitabkhane Milli. Let's take a look. This is one of the newer government buildings you'll see all around the city. An important thing to see here are all of the busts of the famous poets and writers of Tajikistan, all hanging out in front of the National Library. From here in front of the library, you can see the Girde Daulat. This is like a monument just to the government. Behind me, you can see the monument to the government. It's rather tall. It is awfully cold here in Tajikistan today. From here, I am walking through the park to the monument to Rudaki. Rudaki is a famous poet who the street is named after. I have now walked to the center of Rudaki Park, which has yet another monument to Rudaki, and it lines up directly with the presidential palace, which we're going to next. You can see the presidential palace behind me. Unfortunately, there are no tours, and this is the closest you can get, but it is right at the end of Rudaki Park, and you can see the largest flagpole in Tajikistan behind me. It's quite a cloudy day, so a little bit hard, but that's where we're off to next. So let's keep walking. I decided to make a pit stop at a nearby tourist shop. Come with me. So if you keep walking down Rudaki, you will come to a place called Soom. This is near Rudaki Park, and this is where you are going to find all of your souvenirs, all of your gifts. It's on the second floor. Let's take a look. The coolest shop here is actually a shop that has a lot of goods from the Soviet era. I always find unique treasures when I come into this shop. This time I found Soviet Christmas ornaments. من فکر میکنم فقط 100 تومان میام برم 100 تومان برای هر گوشت میشود. I was able to make a deal with the shop owner, and now I'm back on my way to see the flagpole. All of these parks connect to each other. Rudaki feeds into another park that has the largest flagpole in the world, or I guess 4th largest now. And then that feeds into the biggest park in Dushanbe. Here behind me, you can kind of see the largest flag in Tajikistan, the 4th largest in the entire world. But unfortunately today it's not very windy, it's quite flat. So we're gonna move on to the National Museum, which is right at the end of the park where the flag is. The National Museum is full of history and artifacts. Highly recommend a trip there. From the National Museum, you can walk or take a taxi to Kokhi Nawruz, the largest palace in Tajikistan. Here we still have some ice cream out, even in the winter, and a machine where you can buy some energy drinks. These are really popular. Behind me is Kokhi Nawruz. It is the biggest and prettiest palace in all of Tajikistan. In spring and in fall, you will find it packed with brides and grooms who come here to take pictures and have wedding ceremonies. You can go inside. I think the ticket costs around $10, and there's also go-karting you can access for free, as well as bowling that costs about $15 an hour for a whole party. From Kokhi Nawruz, I'm going to walk right across the street to check out the zoo. Okay, here I am at the Dushanbe Zoo. It costs, I think, 30 cents. Let's see. Yeah, 3 somani, so less than 30 cents to get into the zoo. It is a bit sad here, but it is something very interesting to see and lots of rides to ride. I know people will be worried about seeing this, but the government is actively trying to build a new zoo. Now that we've seen a bit of the zoo, I am feeling hungry, so let's hop on a bus and go to Chai-Khane Rohat, the most famous Soviet tea house in Tajikistan. I just hopped off the bus. The bus stops almost directly in front of Chai-Khane Rohat. This is the most famous tea house in all of Tajikistan, built by the Soviets in a really cool form. There's also a very neat Soviet building next to it that I'm walking behind right now. So let's take a look right here, Chai-Khane Rohat. Chai-Khane Rohat, some really beautiful architecture and paintings. Unfortunately, it is not currently open. I was gonna grab some tea and some food, so I'm actually gonna head to Toki Tea House instead. It is not on Rudaki, so if you are looking for really great traditional Tajik food, head to Toki Tea House in a taxi. I'm not gonna show that. For now, I will show myself heading to another famous park. But just know if Chai-Khane Rohat is closed, check out Toki Tea House. Welcome to Park Istiqlal. This is one bus stop up from Chai-Khane Rohat. This is the largest park in Dushanbe. It was just recently opened and is absolutely stunning. Just got out of the taxi at Mehron Bazar. You can see it behind me. Let me tell you a little bit of an interesting history about Mehrgon. Mehrgon used to be the Green Bazaar. It was located a few blocks away from here, but there was a lot of disease. It was really messy, so the government decided to build a new bazaar. This bazaar cost, I think, close to 10 million US dollars. It is by far the most expensive bazaar in all of Tajikistan, and by far the most beautiful. Because this was the most expensive bazaar to build, it also charges the tenants the most money. So everything you find here will be more expensive than in other bazaars in the city, but you can find some fruits and things that you can't find in other bazaars. Well, this is where we end our tour at Mehrgon Bazaar. See you guys next time.